text on page 17 and fill in the missing words. The jazz singer. The film studio, Warner Brothers, created a technology called Vitaphone that could record sound and visuals at the same time, which changed cinema forever. One of the first films to use the Vitaphone was The Jazz Singer, starring a very famous and popular performer called Al Jolson. The story was a melodrama following a son who wants to become a singer. However, his parents are both very religious and disappointed with his chosen career. The story of the film is not what makes it so interesting. What made the film so famous are the scenes in which we hear the characters talk and, more importantly, sing. There are only a few scenes with synchronized sound. The rest of the film is like a traditional silent cinema film, with insert cards showing what the characters are saying to each other. In all of the sound scenes, we hear our main character sing. One example is him sitting at the piano singing to his mother. Another is a traditional Jewish religious service, and perhaps the most memorable and possibly most uncomfortable to watch today is a live performance for which Al Jolson's character, Jackie Rabinowitz, becomes a singing minstrel and performs on stage wearing dark face paint to make him look like an African American. The climactic scene does seem inappropriate today, but the film is still very important to cinematic history. It was one of the first features with synchronized sound and helped make this technology so popular. Limitations of synchronized sound. In this book, we have already seen how earlier films by people like Edwin S. Porter had used camera movements to tell a story. The close-up was also used to show the expressions on actors' faces, which let the actors show us what their character was feeling without having to speak. The way films were made changed in the late 1920s and early 1930s with this new technology. The camera used for the Vitaphone was very big and very noisy. It had to be kept inside a soundproof box, so the noise it made wouldn't affect the filming of a scene. This meant the camera would normally be placed in one location and kept there. So the camera movements that people like Porter used became much rarer, as moving the camera was so difficult. Furthermore, the microphones were not as good as the technology we have today. Actors had to be close to the microphone and talk directly into them, meaning their movement was limited too. This made close-ups much more difficult. So while we may think of synchronized sound as improving cinema, you could argue that at the beginning it made movies far simpler than some silent films.